Alright, y'all, so it's the next day, and went up to the gas station, put 15 bucks in 91 in the car, and then on the way back it was overheating a little. So I pulled over at the gas station, I let it cool off, I added some more coolant, I came home, it was already back up to the red again. So I've been topping it off. It's completely cool now, like nothing's hot. And I don't know, I'm seeing some wetness on the radiator, kind of around there. And I was looking under the car because I'll top it off. And I get under and look, and it's just dripping from the radiator support. And I can't find where it's leaking from. So I'm really not too for sure. But something, it's either got to be leaking from this hose, or the plastic end tank is leaking somewhere. But somewhere it's leaking and running down and dripping off the radiator support. So I'm really not too sure. I don't see anything wet over here. I mean, I guess it could be the little hose that runs across that goes over to the tank. But it's like right now there's not any, like this lower hole right there is this hose, and that's the hose that goes over, well, that one goes in here. And then I guess the upper hose goes over to the tank. I don't see it wet up here around any of these, so I don't think it's either of these hoses. So it would have to be either the radiator or the lower hose. The thing is it all looks dry. Even if I come around on this side, everything down under there, it all looks dry. I don't see no wet. Not enough wet to cause a drip, drip, drip consistent like that. It's almost like the consistency of when it was leaking out of the thermostat. But now it's coming out of the radiator somewhere. So, freaking awesome. And I sold the other radiator that I had to someone with an Impala. So now I don't even have an extra GXP radiator. So car drives great, shifts well, shifted through all the gears. The paddles aren't working, but I can deal with that. But this, I cannot deal with it just leaking out all the coolant. So yeah, that's, I guess I'm going to have to jack this thing up and pull the front bumper off. And the new owners of the trailer park are here today driving around, so I can't really mess with it too much today. Can't pull the bumper off. So I don't think I'm going to be going anywhere else today, except for maybe over to David's, if I drive over to David's. But, yeah, I think I might have to, replace the radiator. So, I know, I guess, I'll give you guys another update once the owners are gone. If they leave today before it gets dark and too late, then I might give you guys another update today, but it's probably going to be tomorrow. So I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, y'all, well, it's been a few hours. I think the owners are gone for the day. So I jacked the car up. I don't see anything wet on the back side of the radiator back here. It looks dry all the way up. I see a little wetness over there. But for the most part, it looks dry all the way up until you get down here to the very bottom. And that's about where my leak's dripping from here in the rad support. So I come around this side, And see, it's like everything in here looks dry. It's not coming from the hose. Yeah, that looks pretty dry to me. But whatever's happening, it's leaking over here somewhere on this side. And it's not coming out of the engine this time. It's just straight in the rad support. Oh, it's the drain. The radiator drain is right there. I really hope that's it. Alright, let me see if I can get this drain tightened up a little bit. And I'll give you guys another update. Alright, well, I guess that's what is leaking, is that drain right there. I can't get it to tighten. So, I guess I'm going to have to try to loosen it and re-drain the whole fucking system again. I swear, dude. At least I've got another jug of coolant. It definitely looks like the culprit. It's all wet right here at the bottom. And it looks pretty dry going all the way up. I see a couple little wet spots, but under that hose is dry. Everything up top looks dry. It looks like it's just wet right here at the bottom at this drain. So that's what I'm going to work on. Alright, you guys. So, I couldn't get to the screw down there. I like tried getting my fingers on it. I can't turn it. I tried putting these angled needle nose on it. I've tried little screwdrivers, pry bars, this little chisel thing. I can't get anything in there to try to tighten it. Seems like it's tight. And so I tried to break it free, and I couldn't break it free either. So what I did was I pulled the dog bone, and I'm going to try to pull the radiator fans out. And hopefully give me a little bit more room. And maybe I'll actually be able to see what I'm working with down here with this radiator. So looks like I don't have a bolt in it at the top right there. So that side slides up. This side over here is probably bolted down. The harness is kind of in the way. Alright, well, I gotta try to get this these fans out of here. So I guess y'all give me a few and I'll give you guys another update. Alrighty, so I got the radiator fans out. And looky there, it's the fucking radiator. It's the end tank on the radiator. Yeah, it's the end tank. I don't have another radiator. I sold it for $30 fucking when it was snowing. And I put it in for the guy into like a 3.6 Impala. Wasn't even the right radiator, but I ghetto-fied it and made it work. And that was the only one I had in the shed. And now I need a radiator, and these are like $300 fucking. So I guess I'm gonna let it drain the coolant out, and I guess I'll be doing some JB Weld or something, because I don't have money for another radiator, and I can't just go get one of these at the salvage yard for $35. They don't have GXPs or Impala SSs. Anytime they get an LS4, they pull the motor and trans before the car even goes on the yard. So, but yep, there it is. Coming straight off the radiator. go back from underneath. If I can see it from down here. Sure enough, the ends tank. Fucking great, dude. Well, at least she starts up and runs every time, but god damn. Well, that's it for today, because I don't have money for a radiator. I don't know what the fuck else to do. Well, not driving this thing anytime soon. Yeah, and only one of the fans works. This one was locked up. You can see it's all burnt the fuck up in there. This one seized. It didn't want to spin at all. This one spins. So that's the one fan I had that's working. Well, just my luck, y'all. Just my fucking luck. Alright, you guys. Well, I've got this draining. I went ahead and pulled the drain plug. And the O-ring looks fine. So, not the plug. It's definitely the radiator. So, I called up AutoZone for a regular factory replacement radiator like this with the plastic end caps. It's $288 plus tax, which was $310 after tax for just a radiator. So I got on eBay and I found a full aluminum radiator, same brand as the one, it's like API Performance or something, that the one that I bought for the Grand Am, and it was $169 or $170. I think it was $169. So it was like $174, $175 and some change with tax and everything. So I went ahead and I ordered that one. I had to borrow the money, but I ordered that one. So that will be here in the next 4 or 5 days. Hopefully. So I guess we'll just have to see how it goes and wait for the new one to come in. So I'm going to let this finish draining, and I'm going to remove these radiator hoses and go ahead and just pull the radiator out, so that way it's already out of the car. And I might be able to do some JB Weld on the bottom just to hold it together temporarily for a few days. But I don't know, if I do that, it's just going to get straight water going back into it, because I'm really not trying to waste the antifreeze. I have one more new jug of antifreeze, and I don't want to waste it and just let it drain out and leak all over the ground. So the car's just going to have to sit for a few more days, but I'm going to go ahead and get this radiator pulled out of here, and I'll give you guys another update. Hey YouTube, so it's been a few days. Yeah, I swapped the cars around so the GXP can be under the light. But yeah, so today's Tuesday the 1st, and yeah, the new all full aluminum radiator showed up. So let's get it out of here. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Alright, let me get this out of here and I'll give you another update. Alright, you guys, look, there she is. That thing looks amazing. Welds look good. I do see a couple of, a little bit of like vent end fins here and there, but not enough to where it looks like it's busted the core or anything. Even the backside had a few, but like I said, it doesn't look like it's busted the core, so fingers crossed it's not going to leak. We'll definitely have to leak test it. It actually looks just like the factory drain plug. sweet. Man, for $175, really can't go wrong, because they wanted $310 with tax for a factory style one. So a little more than half the price for a full aluminum one. It's going to be way better performance. So I'm happy with it. Yeah, I still got to pull the old radiator out of the car. It's still in here. I still got to unhook hoses, but the transmission lines are not ran into the radiator. As you can see there's nothing going in the fittings. I have that external Ford F-250 Super Duty transmission cooler in the front bumper grill area. So I'm probably gonna have to pull the front bumper off, but I'm not gonna do that today. It's really windy and it's supposed to rain. So I'm just gonna put the radiator back in the box and probably just stick it in the trunk or in the back seat for now. That way it doesn't get damaged, and I'm gonna have to do the radiator swap another day. But I just want to give you guys an update, show you all this new radiator. Looking beautiful. So that's a new radiator. I'll leave a screenshot in here, and I'll try to put the link down in the description, in the video description. If you guys want to get you guys one of these radiators, it's like no sponsor or anything. We just bought this, but I mean, for the price, if you're willing to wait a week for shipping, it's not a bad deal at all. It's a really good quality looking radiator. Looks about the same quality as the one I got in that's in the Grand Am. It's from the same company, ATI. So I'm really happy with it, and for the price, really can't complain with it being, you know, a little more than half the price of a factory style radiator with the plastic end tanks. And that's exactly what's broken on this one, is it's leaking where the plastic goes into the metal. So to being fully welded, fully aluminum, it'll keep it cooled off a little bit better, so it'll be better performance, and it can't leak from right there because there's no plastic for it to leak from. So but yeah, I guess I'll give you guys another update whenever I'm actually pulling the radiator out and getting the new one installed. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, well, I'm trying to beat the rain. The manager lady finally left, so I was able to get the radiator hoses undone, and I had to undo the AC line, and then it's bolted. The AC line and condenser is bolted on the front side of the radiator, so I'm having one hell of a time separating them. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get this radiator out of here in one piece without damaging anything else. So I've got the front bumper pulled off, but it's not really helping very much. So I'm gonna try to get this thing out of here, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, radiator is out. So now I've got to get the new radiator out of the back seat, make sure my little rubber grommets fit on the new radiator so it hold it in place. Gotta slide the new radiator in place, start getting it all reconnected. Alright guys, sorry my phone was at 1%, so I had to plug it in, let it charge up. But I finally got the radiator in, and I did, I kind of fucked it up some on the fins. It didn't puncture it, it was just hitting on this fucking pipe, and I was trying to get it in with the AC condenser already clicked onto the back. I tried leaving the AC condenser in there and putting the radiator in by itself. I just couldn't get it to go in there with the AC condenser with the engine in the engine bay. Like, if I would have done this with the engine out, whenever I had the engine out, it probably would have been fine. But I didn't buy this radiator back then, and I'm not going to pull the engine out just to put in a radiator. But the radiator is in there. I've got both of the main radiator hoses hooked up, and they're tight. So I'm going to start filling it up with antifreeze. I've got the little hose on the top, so I'm going to start filling it up, and just to make sure that we don't have any leaks, Just because the one thing I noticed was that the bungs sticking out of the radiator on both sides are actually smaller than the factory one. I don't know, they look about the same, but when the hose goes on there, it's just like super loose fitting. It doesn't fit tight around those at all. It's like the clamp is the only thing holding it down tight. But I know we'll see. I'm gonna fill this thing up. I've got 1 more gallon of coolant, so I'm gonna get this topped off and make sure we don't have any leaks. And then I'll go ahead and get the fans put in and installed, and we'll start getting everything all put back together. Alright, y'all, so I just topped it off. I put in a whole gallon of antifreeze and went and filled it up with water and filled it up, and it still needs some more. But so far, I'm not seeing any leaks from anywhere, so fingers crossed, no more leaks. So I guess I can go ahead and put the radiator fans back in. They're sitting over there. Get those clipped in and bolted into place. And yeah, then we can move on to getting everything else all buttoned up. So I'm gonna go get some more water, finish topping this off, get the fans installed, get the air box back in, kind of get everything back to how it needs to be, and I'll come back and give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so it's all back together. Fans are in, the air box is back in, everything's screwed back down, all the ECMs and transmission control modules screwed down. Everything's all back together and tight. Took 3 gallons, 1 gallon of coolant and 2 gallons of water to get it completely topped off. And I filled it up, and I waited like 10 minutes before I put the fans in to make sure nothing is leaking. Everything looks good. Everything looks dry. With this radiator being thicker, I wasn't able to run the AC condenser, so I had to leave it out. And you can see, so like the AC condenser clicks into these little hooks, but then it's supposed to sit right here where this piece of metal is, and it spaced it out like a good couple inches from the radiator whenever I had it slid onto this radiator. So yeah, there was no way that the radiator and the AC condenser were going to fit in here together without cutting out a bunch of this radiator support stuff. So it is what it is. For now, I just left it out. I'd rather have the radiator than AC, so I'd rather the car not overheat so I can actually drive it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the front bumper reinstalled, and then get the headlights back in, and then I'll start it up and try to bleed the coolant and double check for any leaks. Hopefully there's none, fingers crossed, because this is a pain in the ass to work on. But yeah, just no AC. So let me get the front of this thrown back together, and I'll give you guys another update. Hey YouTube, okay, so it's been a couple of days since the last clip whenever I changed out the radiator. So I had like 4 or 5 videos, and a bunch of pictures got corrupt on my SD card. So I'm not for sure what happened, but so I'm kind of starting over. But so anyways, I got the radiator back in. I don't know if it's in one of the last clips, but I had to fully remove the AC condenser, because I don't know, you can kind of see down in there's the hooks that the AC condenser slides on, and the AC condenser is like, you know, this thick. It's about 1 inch thick, and it's supposed to fit right in between that slot with the holes on it there and the radiator, and it was just completely hitting. So I'm not for sure if the feet on the bottom of the radiator are just extended out too far to where it wants to push the radiator this way more, or what the deal is. That was really the only thing I noticed, was the little feet down there at the very bottom that go, there's like these rubber pieces that sit in the holes of the radiator support at the bottom. And so I did notice between the stock factory radiator I pulled out and this new one that the little stands that go down into the holes on the radiator support on the stock radiator were pretty much directly underneath the end tank. And on this aftermarket one, it's got like an 1.5 or 2 inch little foot, and then it goes down. So it's definitely spacing the radiator a little further back. And I mean, it is twice as thick of a radiator as the original. So I removed the AC condenser to get the radiator in, so it would actually bolt in. And other than that, everything was going pretty good. The car runs and drives. It's not leaking any coolant. But for whatever reason, I'm not for sure if it's this radiator cap, which is a brand new cap. And it is the exact same 15 PSI as the factory cap that came on the engine. But the original factory cap, whenever I went to take it off, this outer piece came off, but all this inner piece stayed in. So I had to get a new cap. It was ran for 2 weeks on the 06 engine, and now it's been ran for 2 or 3 days on this engine. So this is still basically a brand new cap. But for whatever reason, whenever I go drive around, it's like it's pushing all the coolant into this overflow hose, and that's going over to the coolant overflow. And then what it's doing is it's pushing all the coolant over to here until it fills up, and then it's pushing it out this drain hose here. So once the overflow tank gets full, it pushes it out this hose, and then it just drains onto the ground. And as you can see, yeah, it's still been dripping onto the ground. So I don't know, yeah, I was starting to edit the video, and then I noticed I had like 4 or 5 corrupt videos, and so I didn't get any of the actual first drive with this radiator. But the very first drive, I just drove around the trailer park, and it did pretty good. But then I did a little burnout right here, and it just left a huge trail of coolant where it was dumping the coolant out of the overflow tank. So yeah, it kind of sat all day yesterday. I didn't really mess with it yesterday, and then today it was kind of raining all day off and on. And so I did drive up to the post office, and I drove up to Quick Trip, and I put some more 91 octane in, and I came back home. And the car did great until I was pulling back in. It started to go a little bit over half. So I popped the hood, made sure the fan was running, which this fan runs. This one is locked up, so it needs a new fan. But yeah, this other fan was running, so I was like, awesome. But the overflow tank, it was just like boiling. So I turned it off. I waited a couple hours for it to completely cool down. I came out here and pulled the cap, and it took like a little over half a gallon of water to get it topped back off to here. And so all I've done is I have loosened this hose clamp, because I had this hose shoved all the way up on here, and it was making the end of this barb that comes out like right in this 90 of this hose. So I think that was an issue, but it was still pushing coolant through this hose to the overflow. So I don't think it was super blocked off, but I don't know what else to do here. I don't know, maybe I have these on the wrong. Looks like the one going over there is this upper hose. Maybe I have these backwards. I'm not for sure. But that one right there on the top of the radiator is this one. This lower. So I don't know. Maybe I have that wrong. Maybe these need to be switched. I don't know. I'll have to double check. There's not really a whole lot of YouTube videos on the LS4. There's a lot of LS1s, LS2, LS3, like trucks and GTOs and stuff like that. But there's only like a couple people with videos on a 5.3, and it's like an alternator replacement or a water pump replacement. There was a couple on bleeding, but it didn't really, I know they were talking about a bleeder valve, and I've been all over this engine. I have not seen any kind of bleeder valve unless somebody like added in a bleeder, like drilled a hole and tapped it and added in a bleeder. That's the only other way I could see how they bled it, because the thermostat housing is underneath the exhaust manifold and there's no way you could get to it to bleed the system. So I'm not really for sure. I don't know what to do. But the car is running and driving. It's running really good. I was kind of debating on maybe if it has a little bit of a blown head gasket, or maybe I just didn't get the head studs torqued all the way. So I was debating earlier on going and pulling the front valve cover and pulling the front exhaust manifold and kind of just going over all the bolts and double checking everything. I want to do the rear one as well, but you know, I got to remove the alternator and alternator bracket and all that stuff to get the rear manifold off. So I was kind of holding off on that for now, because I'm pretty sure the issue is going to be on this front, because that's where my two rockers were loose. And that's the only thing I could think of, is with having those two rockers loose, not opening valves, maybe, you know, that compression has to go somewhere, either in the oil pan or out the gasket, you know, what's sealing the head to the block. So I was kind of debating on maybe it's not tight enough. Maybe I kind of blew the gasket out a little bit because it's not torqued down enough. I don't know. It's been 6 or 7 months since I built this engine, so it's really hard to remember exactly everything. I've went back in my Google Photos and looked up some of the videos from months ago whenever I actually built it, and I looked at like the cam and the timing and a lot of the stuff. But a lot of the actual like torquing the heads and all that, it's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna torque the heads, and then I cut to when I'm done. So there's not really a whole lot on video of me actually doing that. So I'm not 100% for sure, so y'all are just gonna have to bear with me. But I'm trying to get this thing to where it's reliable and it's not dumping coolant. David seems to think it just has an air bubble still, but I had the car running for like 30 to 40 minutes, sitting here idling, kept adding coolant the whole time. It's just bubbling and bubbling, and I've never seen that many air bubbles and coolant with just, you know, air in the system. Normally that's going to be a sign of like exhaust getting into the cooling system. So I don't know, I'm not 100% for sure. All I know is it keeps like sending all the fluid over to the overflow and dumping it all out. So I don't know, I'm going to try looking up to see maybe if I have these two hoses backwards, maybe this bottom one needs to go into the radiator and then have the top one go over, or maybe, no, that's how it's going right now. The top hose is going to the overflow, so maybe I have them backwards. Maybe it needs to be pushing what's in here into the radiator and not to the overflow tank. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I'm just, yeah, I want to make sure that this is all right, and so that way we don't have any more issues, because I was really kind of thinking that maybe it's a blown head gasket or something, is maybe one of the head bolts, you have to Teflon tape them. Maybe I didn't get one taped good enough and it's leaking a little bit, seeping up into the cylinder and going out the exhaust. I don't know, but there's nothing on the dipstick. There was a little bit of like condensation, oily stuff in the bottom of the oil cap. See, it's just a tiny little bit. It's not really like blown head gasket, and there's not really anything in here. If I remove this whole, like, see, there's nothing actually in the head itself that's milky. It just smells like oil. It doesn't smell like exhaust. But I don't know, I'm really trying to get this thing on the road, reliable. So I'm probably not going to be doing anything else with it tonight. Like I said, it's a little past midnight right now. I've just been going all day, and like I said, today was kind of a rainy day, so wasn't really out here too much, but it finally stopped. So I'm trying to get a little bit of stuff done, but I don't know, I'm really not trying to get in the shed and go through tools and all that right now to try to pull some of this apart. So fingers crossed, if it's not raining tomorrow, I'll be out here in the daylight tomorrow, try to get some of this stuff figured out. I guess I'm going to jump on YouTube or maybe on Facebook in the groups and just double check to see which one of these hoses goes where. Make sure I have those hooked up correctly, because it could just be as simple as I have these backwards. I mean, you never know. So I guess y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update once I find something else out. Hey YouTube, so it's been a couple of days. We've had a lot of rain last few days. It's actually kind of nice today. So yeah, yesterday off camera, it stopped raining around like 3 or 4 p.m. yesterday. So last night, I wanted to go ahead and pull the overflow tank out and completely clean it. So I did. In order to get the tank out, you got to remove this bar, and then you have to remove the air box, because these two little nuts that secured on the top, there's another one down there on the bottom. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see it right down there. But yeah, so there's another bolt down there, or nut. So I had to remove the air box to get the tank out. I had the water hose. I completely rinsed it out. Got it actually really nice and clean in there now. And I decided to just leave it empty, because so what's been going on is whenever the car is sitting here idling and I have the cap off, it's just consistently bubbling. It's like it's not bleeding. And then whenever I go drive the car, then the overflow tank, it's like it's pretty much just water, because I added 1 gallon of coolant and then like 1.5 gallons to almost 2 gallons of water. And then I guess with having the cam, the engine gets a lot hotter than it normally would stock. And so it's boiling the water that is in the cooling system, and it is turning to steam, and then it's pushing all the steam pressure over to the overflow tank. And then once the tank gets full, it's dumping the excess pressure out of this hose, which goes down into the fender behind here. And you can see it's kind of wet down on the plastic. That's because it's right in there. See, it just goes right down here into the fender well area. And so it's dumping out the coolant. It's actually water. So I was able to, I sold a few things on eBay, got a 20-something dollar payout. And so I went yesterday and I got 3 gallons of 50/50, but it's actually coolant. It's not just water. So I'm going to get the jack out of the shed. I'm going to jack this thing up. I'm going to pull the drain plug out of the new radiator. It's down there in the bottom. You can kind of see that little gray wing nut right there. So yeah, I've got to pull that drain plug, and I want to drain everything out of this completely. And once it's done draining, I'm going to fill it up with just antifreeze. And then David said he has one of these little testers you like stick on your coolant overflow, or I guess on here it's going to be right here on the water pump housing. But you'll stick it on here with it running, and it uses like a blue or a green fluid, and then if it changes colors, you know you have exhaust gases. Because I was thinking maybe it had a little bit of a blown head gasket and it was just getting exhaust into the cooling system. But I'm really thinking, like, because after the last time I drove it a few days ago, I got home, it started to like overheat a little, went a little bit above half. And so I came out here and I started loosening the cap, and it was just blowing steam out. And then once I finally got the cap off, it took like almost a full gallon of water to get it topped back off. And then I literally drove right up to the store and drove back, and it was doing the same thing again. And it keeps losing coolant or water. So that's why I'm going, I want to get this right. I figured if I put just antifreeze in there, it's going to have a higher boiling point than just water. And with the engine running so much hotter now, with it being cammed and everything, I figured that's just probably something that's happening. Even though I've had, this engine is cammed, it has the same brand radiator as this, but it is straight coolant, and I don't have any issues with the red car. And then same with the 07 supercharged pre that I had with the XPZ cam. And then once I parted out to the S1X cam, had the ZZP full aluminum radiator. Damn near identical radiator, except for it had the cap in the radiator and not here on the engine. But I mean, still same thing. Coolant, even had water mixed in. Never had an issue with it steaming like this one. So fingers crossed that this isn't an engine issue and it's just because I had water in it. So yeah, that's the plan for today. So I'm going to get the jack out of the shed, get this thing up in the air, drain the radiator, and go from there. Alright y'all, she's up in the air on jack stands. I got her draining out that drain plug. It's real slow, but I'm just going to let this drain out, and I'll give you guys another update whenever she's done draining. Alright you guys, so she's been draining away. In fact, she just about stopped dripping. So I'm gonna get under here, get this drain plug reinstalled and tightened down, and then we'll fill her up with this 50/50 SuperTech coolant. So I'm gonna get under here and get this tightened down, and I'll give you all another update. Alright, so I got it tightened up. There's the drain trash can over there. So she's tightened back down in there. So now I can go ahead and get this filled up with straight antifreeze. And I went ahead and left it on jack stands because I've been watching a few YouTube videos on bleeding the LS4. And I thought maybe I had these hoses backwards, but no, they're correct. And so I went ahead and, like I said, I cleaned this out yesterday. Cleaned all the debris out of the hose that goes from the engine over there, runs along the top side of the radiator and goes into the overflow tank over here. So but yeah, I've watched a couple of videos on it because I thought these were backwards, and I guess a few of the guys said that it helps with the bleeding process if you have it up on jack stands with like getting the air bubbles out or something. So I went ahead and left it on the jack stands. So I'm gonna get this filled up, and then I'll start it. We'll run the heater, let it heat cycle, and we'll see if it continues to boil like it was before, or see if the bubbles go away. So I'm gonna get this topped off, and I'll give y'all another update. Alright y'all, so I used this whole jug, and then most of this one. There's a tiny little bit left in the bottom, but so pretty much 2 gallons of coolant. I'm not seeing any leaks. She's just sitting right here at the top. It's not going down. So I guess I need to start her up, turn the heater on, and let it idle so I can get some of this air out of the system, and then I can continue topping it off with just coolant. So hopefully I've got all the water out of the system, and we'll have just antifreeze in here. So it's still kind of early, so I'm probably going to give it like an hour before I actually start it up, because I guess the car is kind of loud. It's not super loud like the Grand Am, but it's a little loud. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a little bit, let some people wake up so I'm not pissing off all my neighbors, and yeah, kind of go from there. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update here in a bit. Alright y'all, so it's been about another hour. We're still sitting here right at the top. So while I've been inside, you know, giving it a little time so it's not so early, I've been inside doing a little bit more adjusting in HP tuners with my tune, and doing some more cam adjustment and fueling and intake air, like just all the stuff that's specifically for the cam, just to be able for it to run and drive to the dyno without doing any major damage to the engine. So went ahead and got everything adjusted and saved, and now it is loading. So we're saying about 5 minutes left on the ECM, and then it's going to take a couple minutes for the TCM. So I'll come back in about 7 minutes whenever this is done, and I can turn the key off and then I'll be able to start her up again. And hopefully we have no major bubbles coming out of here, and hopefully it'll just stay full and it won't be turning everything to steam and boiling everything in the overflow tank. So I'm just gonna let this laptop do its thing, ride it to the car, and I'll give you another update. Alright, you guys, so just finished the ride, so I'm gonna turn the key off, and then I'm going to close this out. I'm going to open VCM Scanner. There we go. And then alright, so now I need to start her up. Okay. Let's disconnect the battery charger. Let me get this disconnected. Alright, let's try this again. I've got the battery charger disconnected. Why is it dying now? What the fuck? Well, that's awesome. Right as I just started it, I just seen it shoot out a bunch of coolant. Awesome. Alright, I'm going to top this back off. I'm going to put it back on the ground and do this again. Alright, she's back on the ground. There's the jack stands. Let's try it again. I thought I got rid of all these issues. What in the... There we go. Had to hold my foot on the gas a little bit. Alright. Turn this back on heat. warm up. That thermostat open up and I'll give y'all another update. Man, y'all, listen to that. Sounds good. Alright, well, I've got HP tuners on the scanner, doing a data log. Hasn't really moved yet. Starting to get a little bit of heat through the vent. Things looking pretty good though. Temp gauge is starting to move a little bit. Overflowed the tank a little. Yeah, we're getting some air bubbles though, that's good. Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna let it get up to temp and I'll give you another update. Alright, well, I popped the cap and topped it off. And this is what I was talking about. Whenever I had just the water in here, it was consistent, like constantly just bubbling like this. And that's why I was thinking maybe it had was getting some exhaust in the coolant, but I know before it kept going way down the level. Now it's at least staying right about at the top. And we're gonna let it run for a few, and we're starting to get up there a little bit. Got some nice heat coming out. Exhaust is kind of starting to stink a little bit. I don't like that at all. And it's coming out the overflow, running down over here. Yeah, shit, it's full. It's full. And that's all antifreeze. Well, I'm gonna let it get up to temp, and hopefully it stops all this bubbling like that. But I'll give y'all another update, let y'all know how it goes. Alright, well, she is up to temp. Got some nice heat coming out. It's saying over here we're running 198 degrees coolant temp. So the thermostat should be open. But the level hasn't really went down any, and it's still just bubbling like no other. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes and keep an eye on this temp gauge. I mean, it looks great. I'll just keep an eye on it. Heater feels good. I'm not liking this. That's all kind of signs of a blown head gasket or a gasket not sealing, getting exhaust in the radiator. So I really hope not. I hope I'm just tripping and just freaking out about it, but it's not looking the greatest. So see if the fan's kicked on yet. Fan is not on. Just consistent bubbling. Right in the middle on temp. Exhaust sounds great. Kind of stinks a little bit. Kind of stinks like rotten eggs or something. See the air bubbles. Right in the middle. (212 degrees Fahrenheit). Lots of bubbles. Just dumped a bunch more. Still right at the middle, just barely over. See, my issue is the first couple drives, it'll be normal, and then once it boils out the water, it would go up real close to the red. See, now it's starting to go over. See if the fans, god damn, it's even spitting out the lid. All right, we're going over half. Oh man. Leave that on there for a bit, let it cool off. Fuck, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But that's pretty much what it's been doing. I just was thinking it was boiling the water and turning it to steam. But it's doing the same thing with straight antifreeze. Let me end that data log. All right. Well, man, I guess I'm gonna let this cool off, and I'll pull that radiator cap off here in a little bit. I don't know what the hell is going on, but yeah, I'll give you guys another update once I figure something out. All right, you guys. Well, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I let this thing cool off. I kind of just stopped messing with it for a few hours and went in there and took a nap. And I just woke up a couple hours ago, so I decided to come out here and pull the front manifold off just to see what everything was looking like. So I had to undo the crossover pipe, but I'm gonna have to remove the throttle body to get it out. And then it's also kind of in the way of me getting the front manifold out. But I've got it unbolted. And as you can see right here on this ear, there's a little bit of coolant pulled up on there. And it looks like it's leaking out of the head. Well, now my phone's on. But yeah, it looks like it's leaking out of the head. Right there onto that little ear. So I don't know, I'm gonna try to retorque the head stud. I doubt that's gonna do anything. I ordered a new set of head gaskets on eBay, so they'll be here in a few days. But if I can get it to stop leaking, then that would be awesome. But I'm not, I really think I'm just going to have to pull the front head off and just do a new gasket. So, we'll see. I'm not going to tear it all the way down until the new gasket comes in. But I guess for now what I can do is I can go ahead and remove the coil packs and then remove that front valve cover. And then that way I can at least get to all the head studs now. And once I get the valve cover off, and I'll be able to retorque all the head studs down. Just as a reassurance, and I'll go ahead and double check all the front rockers again while it's off. But that's all I'm going to do for until the head gaskets come in, pretty much. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update, and I'll let you know how it turns out. Alright, y'all, so I've got the valve cover and the coils off, and I went through my whole tool bag to find my 13 mil 12-point socket, because that's what the head studs use. And so I was able to go over all of these outer or the lower, what are outside of the valve cover head studs, and all of them had, like, I don't know, they weren't really super tight. And then I was only able to go on the two outer ones inside the valve cover because the other ones are blocked by the rocker pedestals. But I think I might remove the rockers and rocker pedestal to just go over all these head studs, because like I said, those were pretty loose. I know you have to, the first sequence is like a torque spec, and then the second sequence is like 90 degrees, and then the third sequence is another 90 degrees. So I know it's weird. I did everything correctly to spec whenever I put the engine together, as far as I can remember. I mean, I did miss these two rockers, so I don't even know how that happened. But for whatever reason, it happened, and it is fixed now. But there's still a potential that, you know, this head gasket is blown. But with there being that much give, that much play, you know, I mean, that was a good, you know, putting this on here. Oh, let's see. Yeah, so I had this about right here, and I was able to pull it all the way over, touching this, and then ratchet it back, and then pull it again. So that's probably a good 45 degrees or so right there on top of, and that was like that for all these outer ones and both of the two end ones inside. So I think next I'm going to go ahead and pull the rockers, go over all these head stud nuts, just make sure they're good and snug. I don't want to over tighten them, but I don't want to be super loose either. And I guess I'll put it back together, and I'll just bolt the exhaust manifold back on and kind of go from there. And yeah, we'll see how it acts since I'm going over all the head bolts or head studs, and we'll see if it's still dumping air and bubbling out of the cap. If it still is, then I mean, like I said, this took me like 30 minutes to tear apart, so it wasn't really that much work. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull these rockers, get all these head studs retorqued, I guess, and then I'll put the rockers back on, get her all put back together, and yeah, we'll start her up in the morning once it's daylight. And I don't want to be loud super early, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get these rockers off, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, I got the rockers off. So going from the inside out. Now, hold on, let me grab an extension. Alright, so I got me an extension on there. That was a pretty good amount there. Here, hold on. Let me get these torqued down. I'm gonna go the center two, and then I'm gonna do a star pattern, and then the outer. But I'm gonna have to switch and do the upper ones with the extension, and then the lower ones without the extension. So let me get these kind of torqued down, and I'll give you another update. Alright, so I just went over, got all of them nice and snugged up. every single one of these front head bolts turned some. So hopefully this at least helps out, makes it not bubble as bad. I mean, fingers crossed. I don't know what else to do here. So I guess I'm gonna get the rockers back on, get them all nice and snugged down, make sure all the push rods are seated like they're supposed to be, and I'm going to make sure I get those all nice and snugged down as well, and then we'll start getting this put back together, and yeah, I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, all the rockers are back on, all the push rods are seated how they're supposed to be. They're all nice and snugged down. So now I can get the valve cover put back on and get it bolted back down, get the coils back on, and keep going. Get the front exhaust manifold reinstalled. And man, really fingers crossed that this fixes this issue with the exhaust getting in. It's a 50-50 shot. It's probably not going to work, but I figured it was worth a shot. So, yeah, I'm going to get this back together, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys. So, I've got her most of the way back together. Front exhaust manifold is back on. Crossover pipe is back on in the front and in the rear. So, that's just the heat shield that's loose. I got 2 of the plug wires back in. The oil dipstick tube is back in. I've got to get these other 2 plug wires back on. And I got to get the mass airflow sensor reinstalled from the throttle body to the air box. And then the dog bone mount. And that's pretty much it for now. And then, so it's like 5:15 or so in the morning. So, say around 8 or 8:30, I'll come out here and start it. And yeah, I'll let her run and heat cycle, and we'll see if we're still getting bubbles, exhaust gases in the coolant. So I'm gonna finish getting this put back together the rest of the way, and then I'll give y'all another update. Alright, you guys, so it's 5:30. Everything is all back together. So now I just gotta wait a couple hours so that it's not stupid early in the morning and still really dark. And so I'll let it get daylight before I start her up. But she is all back together, so I guess I'm gonna go inside and go take a nap, and I'll catch you guys here in a few hours once it's daylight. Alright, YouTube, so I slept a little longer than I wanted. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon. Well, let's start this baby up. Guess I'm gonna let her get up to temp, and I'll give you another update. Alright, you guys, if you look right through there, it is leaking from the head gasket. I just watched it drip. There it goes. That is the head gasket. That really blows. Right under cylinder 3. It's alright though, the head gaskets are on the way. Man, that blows. But overall, I'm not seeing any major bubbling over here. I think I fixed a huge chunk of the issue by tightening down all the head studs. But that is definitely going to be an issue. It's definitely leaking. We'll let her get up to temp and we'll see how it goes. Alright, she's getting there. Heater feels great. I'm not seeing any bubbles coming up in the tank at all. Just that steady drip down there. Looking good on the temp gauge. She's right up in the middle. Pop the hood back. No bubbling. definitely think that fixed my issue. Sweet. Oh, it sounds so good. Well, other than the tiny little drip down there, it looks like everything is resolved itself. I still see it. Still see it pushing some coolant down there. It's definitely pushing some coolant down there. Not very much, but a little bit. Hey, at least she's staying in the middle. Heater is working beautifully. That's awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and kill it. Oh, there she goes. Now she dumps. Well, that sucks. Yeah, I can see it spitting some air bubbles. Well, that kind of blows. But it's alright, I've already ordered the new head gaskets. So when the gaskets come in, I'll just have to pull this back apart, pull the front head off. Which sucks because there is bolts that goes through this cover into the head, and you can leave this on and still pull the head off, but it is a pain in the ass. And I'm going to have to remove, looks like the power steering pump, because there is a small head bolt behind the power steering pump. Back there. Yeah. You can kind of see it back there now. There's a bunch of them that run along the top side of the head, like that one right there. So, yeah, all this will have to come back off. But for now, at least I can drive it around without it overheating super bad. I'm going to try to drive it as little as possible. But, I don't know, it is what it is. I tried, you guys. I'm having issues with this thing, so I guess that's going to be it for this video. It's probably gone on long enough. I've been working on this thing for like 4 or 5 days in a row, trying to get everything situated and figured out. But yeah, I guess that's going to be it for this video. So if you like the video, leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.